Archangel Michael is shouting with a warning: your biggest enemy is finally exposed. A fortune teller looked at your photo and almost passed out after feeling the strong negative energy. She saw jealousy, betrayal, and someone trying to hurt you. Don't blink, this truth will change everything. Don't blink. Don't breathe too deeply. Don't scroll away for even a second. Because Archangel Michael is speaking now, not softly, not gently, but with a roar that splits through the invisible realms like lightning across a midnight sky. He is shouting your name in the spirit, calling you forward, because the moment you've been subconsciously preparing for your whole life is happening right now. This is not symbolic. This is not poetic. This is not a metaphor. This is a spiritual emergency, and heaven is lifting the veil because your greatest enemy, the one who hid in shadows, the one who smiled at you with poisoned intentions, the one who pretended to clap when you succeeded while secretly wishing you would fall, has just been exposed under the blazing light of divine justice. Michael says, "Listen. Now." And his voice carries the weight of 1,000 armies, the authority of a realm that does not negotiate with darkness, the compassion of a guardian who has watched over you since the day your soul entered this world. He says you have no idea how close you came to destruction. You have no idea how deeply someone envied you. You have no idea how dark a certain person's heart became the day they decided you were their rival. But heaven saw it. Heaven heard every whisper, every lie, every curse, every thought formed against you. And heaven said, "Enough." There is a reason your spirit felt uneasy these past days. Those sudden chills for no reason, the way your energy felt heavy, the random waves of sadness that didn't feel like yours, the sudden anxiety when nothing was going wrong, the dreams that felt like warnings instead of imagination. Archangel Michael says all of that was your soul reacting to the invisible warfare aimed at you. And the moment the fortune teller looked at your picture, everything was exposed. You didn't know someone had taken your image, online, offline, intentionally, or in some spiritual ritual, but the moment she saw it, her entire body tensed with fear. She felt the negative energy surrounding you like thick smoke, and her breath caught in her throat. Michael says she almost dropped your photo because she didn't just see negative energy, she saw an attack that was meant to break you completely. She saw jealousy so intense it burns like acid. She saw betrayal wrapped in a smile. She saw the spiritual fingerprints of someone who pretended to love you but wanted your downfall more than they wanted their own success. She saw a darkness attached to your aura that didn't belong to you. A darkness someone else sent. A darkness that tried to cling to your destiny. A darkness that heaven is ripping off you right now as you read these words. Michael's wings are open around you like a shield, and he says, "You do not walk alone. You are not unprotected. You are not blind. But now you must be awake. He says the person who tried to harm you didn't expect heaven to intervene this fast. They thought their jealousy could stay hidden behind fake compliments. They thought their bitterness could stay disguised behind forced laughter. They thought their intentions would never be discovered because you are kind, trusting, gentle-hearted, and spiritually gifted without realizing it. They underestimated you. They underestimated your calling. They underestimated what heaven placed on your life before you were even born. And most of all, they underestimated who protects you. Michael says the moment you opened this message, their power shattered. Their influence broke. Their plan collapsed. The dark energy that was around you is being peeled away like old skin that no longer has the right to cling to your body, your future, your blessings, or your spirit. The truth they tried to hide is being dragged into the light. And the truth is this: someone tried to spiritually sabotage you because your light irritated their demons. Your growth triggered their insecurity. Your destiny threatened their comfort. Your blessings made them feel small. And instead of healing themselves, they tried to harm you. Michael says you felt this person draining your spirit without understanding it. You felt tired after talking to them. You felt heavy after thinking about them. You felt uneasy when they asked about your plans. You felt unsettled when they wanted to know more details about your life. That uneasiness was not paranoia, it was spiritual discernment. Heaven was whispering, "They are not who you think." And now the veil is lifting completely. The fortune teller didn't just feel negative energy, she saw a spiritual rope tied around your blessings, a rope someone tied intentionally, hoping to slow you down, block your opportunities, cause confusion, or make you doubt your worth. But Archangel Michael is cutting that rope right now with a sword forged from divine fire, and every knot tied against your destiny is turning to ashes. He says, your enemy hid their face, but they could not hide their intentions. Their jealousy reached the throne of heaven, and heaven responded with justice. You may feel your heart beating fast right now. That's not fear, that's recognition. Your spirit knows this is true. You've sensed it for months. You felt a strange weight, but you couldn't explain it. You felt someone thinking of you, but not with love. You felt someone watching your life, comparing theirs to yours, wishing your blessings were theirs. And you tried to ignore it. You tried to believe the best in everyone. You tried to give people grace, even when your intuition whispered warnings. But Michael says now is not the time to be naive. Now is not the time to downplay spiritual warfare. Now is not the time to pretend the energy you felt was just your imagination. He says, I need you awake. I need you aware. I need you to hear me fully. Because what comes next depends on how much truth you are willing to accept in this moment. This is not a coincidence. This message did not reach you by accident. Heaven orchestrated this moment. Michael guided your steps here because the attack aimed at you was too dangerous to leave hidden. And the enemy behind it was too bold, too confident, too willing to cross spiritual lines. So now heaven is stepping in. Michael says you need to understand something very important. The person who is jealous of you is not stronger than you. The energy attacking you is not stronger than heaven. The negativity around you is not permanent. It is breaking right now. He is standing beside you with wings spread wide, with a sword of truth that exposes everything, with the authority to dismantle every spiritual trap set against you. And he says the fortune teller didn't just feel fear, she felt the magnitude of the destiny you carry. She felt the intensity of your spiritual calling. She felt the divine protection surrounding you that made the darkness recoil. Because you are chosen. You are marked. You are watched over. And you are entering a season where everything hidden will be revealed, every lie, every false friend, every masked enemy. Nothing that was done against you in secret will remain hidden. The truth is surfacing like fire rising through water. And the moment you finish this message, you're going to feel something, like a release, a shift, a breath your soul has been trying to take for months. Because this is the moment your spiritual chains snap. This is the moment your aura clears. This is the moment heaven says, no more. Michael says your enemy is panicking right now. They can feel their influence fading, their control breaking, their spiritual advantage collapsing. They don't know why, but something inside them is trembling. Their energy is being exposed. Their mask is cracking. Their intentions are being revealed. Even if they never confess, you will see it in their behavior, their silence, their discomfort, their sudden distance, their accidental slip-ups. Light exposes darkness without effort. Truth destroys lies without force. And your spirit is stepping into a new level of clarity. Michael is giving you divine sight, the ability to sense who is for you and who is not, who drains you and who uplifts you, who envies you and who supports you. He says, your discernment is awakening, and no enemy will ever be able to hide in plain sight again. And now he's asking you to prepare your heart, because the next part of this message will go even deeper. He will reveal the nature of the attack, the identity pattern of the person behind it, and the miracle heaven is releasing to reverse what was sent your way. Comment, I surrender my dreams to you, Lord, if you've laid your plans at his feet. Archangel Michael says, now listen even more carefully, because what I am about to reveal is the part your soul has been sensing in dreams, in sudden chills, in flashes of intuition that you tried to ignore. The energy you felt wasn't random. The heaviness, the confusion, the emotional swings, they were not yours. They were coming from the person whose jealousy finally pushed them into spiritual territory they never should have touched. Michael steps closer, his presence pressing against the atmosphere around you, lifting the weight from your chest, clearing the fog that someone intentionally tried to place around your life. He says, "You have been under a spiritual attack disguised as ordinary life. But your spirit recognized it. You just didn't understand what you were feeling. And now the truth is unfolding like a scroll burned open by heavenly fire." He says the fortune teller didn't see simple negativity, she saw projected energy, the type that comes from someone who watches you with envy so intense it becomes a spiritual poison. Someone who whispers your name with resentment. Someone who smiles at you with hidden anger. Someone who pretends to support you but secretly celebrates your setbacks. Michael says the fortune teller felt that energy like a blow, because it wasn't small. It wasn't passive. It wasn't accidental. Someone put intention behind it. Someone looked at your picture or your name or your life and whispered something dark, not a ritual, not witchcraft, but emotional curses, resentful thoughts, wishing bad outcomes for you, hoping things would fall apart for you, releasing negativity straight from their heart. That's what hit your aura. That's what wrapped around your blessings. That's what caused the fog you felt. And heaven would not let it go on any longer. Michael says that if you knew the truth about this person's feelings toward you, your heart would break, not because you loved them, but because you trusted them. You believed in them. You let them close. You gave them too much access to your heart, your plans, your victories, your vulnerabilities. And they used that access to envy you quietly. They watched you rise and hated it. They watched you glow and felt small. They watched opportunities come toward you and felt threatened. But instead of healing their insecurities, they projected them onto you. And that projection is what the fortune teller nearly fainted from. It was thick, heavy, jagged energy that clung to your spirit like dust that didn't belong there. But Michael says, it is being cleansed now. I am cutting it away, stripping it off, burning it so completely that it will never touch you again. You might be wondering why heaven didn't reveal this sooner. Michael says you needed to reach a certain level of spiritual maturity first. You needed to trust your intuition more. You needed to stop dismissing the signs, the dreams, the sudden warnings. You needed to recognize that when your energy shifts, it means something in the spiritual realm has moved. You needed to learn how to listen. And now you are listening. Now your spirit is awake. Now you are ready to know the truth. He says this person, this enemy, this jealous heart, they never expected heaven to expose them. They were comfortable in their shadow. Comfortable being close to you while wishing against you. Comfortable pretending to be harmless while feeding off your light. They thought their intentions would remain invisible. But here is the secret Michael wants you to hear clearly: jealousy has a frequency, and heaven can hear it. Jealousy echoes in the spirit world. Betrayal leaves a stain that angels can see even when humans cannot. Negative energy leaves fingerprints on the soul. That's how Michael tracked this attack, not through their words, but through the residue of their intention. He saw the imprint on your aura. He saw the shadow clinging to your blessings. And he stepped in because heaven has reached its limit with the way this person treated you spiritually. He says you've always been spiritually gifted, even if you didn't realize it. That sensitivity you have, the way you pick up emotions instantly, the way you feel people's intentions, the way you sense when something is off, that is not imagination. That is discernment. That is spiritual awareness. That is the mark of someone who carries a divine calling. But because you have a pure heart, you often doubt your intuition, thinking you're overreacting, thinking you're being harsh, thinking you're imagining things. Michael says, stop doubting. Your spirit is more accurate than your mind. What you feel is real. And now that your discernment is awakening, you will never again be blind to people's true intentions. He says the person who targeted you didn't understand that every thought we send out has a spiritual consequence. They didn't know that jealousy forms spiritual cords. They didn't know that resentment becomes energy. They didn't know that bitterness leaves marks angels can detect instantly. They didn't know that wishing harm on someone protected by heaven is the same as striking at heaven itself. And heaven always responds. That's why things in their life have been falling apart quietly. That's why they've been uneasy. That's why they've been restless. That's why they've been feeling guilty without admitting it. They can feel their intention backfiring. They can sense the spiritual shield around you strengthening. They can feel Michael's presence blocking every attempt to drain you. And now they're afraid, not of you, but of how quickly heaven defended you. Michael says the fortune teller was not the source of the warning, she was simply the one whose spiritual sensitivity allowed her to feel what was happening. She saw the clash of energies, the anger aimed at you, the resentment circling you. She saw how violently the negative energy reacted to your light. But what scared her the most was not the darkness, it was your destiny. Because the moment she connected to your energetic field, she felt a calling so powerful, so ancient, so divine that it made her hands shake. She felt the weight of who you are spiritually. She felt that you are protected by beings of high authority, beings like Michael himself. She felt that your life has a purpose so big that attacking you spiritually is a dangerous mistake for anyone to make. She felt that heaven takes you seriously, even when you don't realize it. Michael says your enemy thought they were fighting you, but they were actually fighting your destiny. They were fighting your purpose. They were fighting your protection. They were fighting heaven's plan. And no one can win a war against heaven. That's why Michael is shouting now, not whispering. Because this is the moment everything shifts. This is the moment the veil tears. This is the moment the spiritual attack breaks. This is the moment the truth is too loud to ignore. He says you are going to feel something soon, a release in your chest, like pressure disappearing. A sudden breath that feels deeper than normal. A warmth over your back or your shoulders. A tingling in your hands. A lightness in your mind. That is Him cleansing your energy field. That is Him sealing you spiritually. That is Him closing the door that your enemy tried to open against you. And now He says the next part will reveal what happens next, the reversal, the breakthrough, the justice, the blessings that were tied up, and the identity signs of the person who envied you so intensely. He says, continue. The revelation is not finished yet. Archangel Michael steps even closer now, his presence almost vibrating through the air around you, and he says, now we go deeper. Now we enter the part of the truth that was hidden behind veils, behind coincidences, behind the strange things you brushed off as just life. Now you will understand why everything felt off, why your spirit felt watched, why your energy felt drained, why certain blessings felt delayed. He raises his sword of light, and the space around you shifts, almost as if reality itself is rearranging to reveal what has always been there but never seen. He says the enemy who targeted you relied on one thing, your innocence. Your softness. Your kindness. Your belief that others mean well. They counted on your heart being too pure to suspect. They counted on your loyalty keeping you blind. They counted on your compassion convincing you to ignore the signs. But Michael is tearing down every illusion now, because you are stepping into a season where innocence cannot afford to be unprotected. He says, your heart is gold, but even gold needs a guard. He tells you that the person who envied you has been battling with their own inner demons for a long time, feelings of inadequacy, a deep fear of being overlooked, a desperate desire to be seen, or resentment for anyone who seems to move forward faster than them. You became a mirror they didn't want to face. When you grew, they felt smaller. When you healed, they felt exposed. When you started rising, their insecurities screamed. And instead of doing the inner work, they projected the pain at you. Michael says their jealousy wasn't born overnight. It grew slowly. It started with envy. Then comparison. Then silent resentment. Then bitterness. Then frustration with their own life twisted into a spiritual cord aimed at yours. They didn't just envy your blessings, they envied your resilience, your ability to survive what would have crushed others, your light that refuses to dim, your strength that doesn't make sense even to you. They envied how heaven keeps giving you another chance, another opportunity, another open door, even when you didn't ask for it. They envied that God's hand is on you in a way that makes darkness uncomfortable. Michael says this enemy watches you more than you realize. Maybe online, maybe in person, maybe through people, maybe through conversations. They observe your progress. They analyze your updates. They notice your changes. They track your blessings. And every time something good happens to you, their heart tightens with a silent question, Why them and not me? And every time you struggle yet rise again, their frustration grows because they expected your hardship to break you, but it didn't. Your survival irritated their demons. Your comeback irritated their shadows. Your glow irritated their insecurities. Michael says the fortune teller saw all of this in the energy surrounding your picture, and that's why she reacted the way she did. Not because you are cursed, but because someone tried to tie darkness around someone who is spiritually exalted. Someone who tried to interfere with a destiny that is too sacred, too ancient, too divinely written to ever be touched by petty human jealousy. Michael lowers his voice for a moment, but the intensity doesn't fade, it becomes sharper, like the moment before lightning strikes. He says, "The enemy who targeted you never expected consequences, because they thought their thoughts could not be seen. They thought their jealousy could hide behind polite words. They thought their bitterness could stay invisible. They thought their negativity would go unnoticed because it wasn't spoken out loud. But in the spiritual realms, every emotion has a color, every thought has a sound, every intention leaves a mark. Heaven saw their envy like a shadow crawling toward your light. Heaven saw their resentment like smoke rising from their soul. Heaven saw their secret wishes for your downfall as clearly as if they screamed them aloud. And because heaven loves you, because you are under divine surveillance, because your destiny cannot be interrupted, Michael stepped in to expose everything before the energy could manifest into something greater. He says the attack against you wasn't small. It wasn't harmless. It wasn't accidental. It was designed to drain your motivation, to confuse your decisions, to disturb your peace, to cloud your intuition, to make you question yourself, to create delays around your blessings, to dim your light, to make you feel disconnected from your purpose. And the enemy thought you wouldn't notice. They thought the spiritual realm was silent. They thought angels wouldn't interfere. But Michael says, you are not just protected, you are watched closely by heaven. Every attack aimed at you triggers a divine response. And this time, that response is exposure. A tearing of the veil. A revelation of truth. A cleansing of your energy. A reclamation of everything that was slowed, stolen, blocked, or delayed. He says the enemy who did this is closer than you think, not necessarily physically close, but emotionally close, energetically close, psychologically close. Someone who had access to your energy field. Someone who knew your vulnerabilities. Someone who knew when you were tired. Someone who sensed your breakthroughs before you did. Someone who saw the divine shifts in your life and felt threatened by them. Someone who pretended to cheer for you while silently hoping your blessings would stall. Michael says their biggest mistake wasn't the jealousy, it was sending that jealousy toward someone who is heavily protected. Someone who is spiritually appointed. Someone who carries an ancestral blessing. Someone whose bloodline carries divine warriors. Someone whose calling is bigger than their environment. Someone whose destiny is guarded by archangels. Someone heaven refuses to let fall. And now the reversal begins. Michael says everything they sent is going back. Not as harm, but as consequence. Not as punishment, but as karmic correction. Not as revenge, but as spiritual alignment. Your energy is being restored. Your clarity is returning. Your blessings are being released from whatever fog tried to surround them. The rope around your destiny has been cut. The weight on your chest is lifting. The confusion is dissolving. The heaviness is evaporating like smoke burned by holy fire. Your spirit is standing upright again. Michael says that the moment you opened these messages, angels began repositioning themselves around your life, one on your left, one on your right, one behind you, one before you. You are surrounded, guarded, fortified, covered. And the enemy? They are feeling the shift even now. A sudden worry. A sudden unease. A sudden guilt. A sudden discomfort around you. A sudden inability to look you in the eyes. A sudden distance they can't explain. A sudden silence. A sudden heaviness in their own life. They don't understand why, but their spirit knows. They crossed a spiritual boundary. They touched something sacred. They interfered with someone chosen. And now heaven is correcting the imbalance. Michael says you will begin to see signs in the physical world. Changes in communication, shifts in behavior, slipped-up words, awkward energy, distancing, sudden tension, or sudden exposure of their true intentions. Not because you seek revenge, but because truth cannot hide where light has entered. Michael says the next part will reveal the turning point, the divine compensation, the breakthrough that was delayed, the spiritual justice being activated, and how heaven will elevate you in the exact area the enemy tried to block. He says, continue. The revelation must complete itself. Archangel Michael stands before you now with a force so powerful that the atmosphere around your spirit shifts, as if heaven itself is leaning closer to listen. His wings do not move, yet you feel the air stir. His sword does not swing, yet you feel the energy around you changing. He says, now we enter the part heaven has been waiting for you to hear, the turning point, the divine reversal, the spiritual compensation that will come to you not as luck, not as coincidence, but as justice. His voice is deep, calm, unshakably authoritative, the kind of voice that makes darkness tremble and angels stand at attention. He continues, everything the enemy meant for harm, I am now turning for your elevation. Every delay they tried to create will become acceleration. Every shadow they tried to send toward your destiny will become a spotlight on your breakthrough. Say, Father, heal my heart and make me whole, if you long for his restoration. He says that the attack you experienced created a kind of spiritual imbalance, a disruption in the natural flow of blessings heaven had prepared for you. But imbalance in the spiritual realm demands correction. Not sometimes. Not eventually. But inevitably. And when heaven corrects something, it does not simply fix what was broken, it multiplies what was delayed. Michael says the blockage placed on your blessings did not destroy them, it only stored them. They accumulated in the spiritual world like water held behind a dam. And now that the energy around you is being cleared, now that the attack has been exposed, now that the darkness has been burned away, that dam is cracking. The blessings are gathering force. The pressure is building. And soon, very soon, they will burst into your physical reality in a way that feels sudden, overwhelming, and completely supernatural. He says the enemy's jealousy accidentally activated a divine law. When someone tries to block a chosen one, heaven increases the chosen one's blessings as compensation. For every ounce of negativity thrown at you, heaven prepares a pound of breakthrough. For every delay caused, heaven adds acceleration. For every setback, heaven attaches a comeback. For every spiritual attack, heaven releases an even greater spiritual strengthening. Michael says, this is why your energy feels different right now. This is why your spirit feels like it's waking up. This is why your intuition feels sharper, your awareness louder, your inner voice clearer. The fog has lifted. The heaviness has fallen. The spiritual cords have been cut. And now your destiny can move freely again. He tells you that one of the reasons this spiritual attack felt so heavy is because it targeted the exact area of your life where a major breakthrough was scheduled to unfold. The enemy did not choose randomly, they sensed the divine movement around you. They sensed your rising season. They sensed the opportunities circling your name. They sensed the blessings preparing to enter your life. And because they felt threatened, they tried to interfere. But Michael says their interference has now guaranteed your blessing, because what was once simply a scheduled breakthrough has now become a protected breakthrough. A shielded breakthrough. A heaven-backed breakthrough. He says the blessing the enemy tried to block will now come with evidence, evidence that heaven fought for you, evidence that angels intervened, evidence that you are chosen, evidence that no darkness can touch what is meant for your soul. He pauses for a moment, letting the truth settle into your spirit, then continues, your energy field is being restored piece by piece. What was drained is being refilled. What was dimmed is being reignited. What was slowed is being accelerated. What was tangled is being untangled. And the person who sent the negativity toward you does not realize they have triggered a divine chain reaction. He says this chain reaction includes clarity, justice, protection, elevation, and exposure. One by one, each of these phases will unfold in your life, and you will begin to notice it in small signs, sudden motivation, sudden peace, sudden intuition, sudden breakthroughs, sudden opportunities, sudden realizations, sudden shifts in relationships, sudden removal of people who no longer align with your destiny. Michael says the next phase in this divine chain reaction is justice. Not revenge. Not punishment. But universal correction. The energy they sent toward you is returning to them, not because heaven is harsh, but because energy must return to its source. The jealousy they projected will become lessons for them. The negativity they threw at you will become clarity for them. The resentment they carried will become mirrors for them. But heaven will not allow their actions to steal from the destiny you've been building with your tears, your patience, your survival, your strength. Michael says, what you went through was not for nothing. Heaven saw the weight on your spirit. Heaven saw the confusion on your mind. Heaven saw the fatigue in your soul. And heaven said, enough. Now we restore. And the restoration begins with your identity. Michael says the enemy hope to weaken your self-trust. They hope to make you doubt your intuition. They hope to make you question your worth. They hope to make you insecure about your future. But instead, this attack will strengthen you. It will sharpen you. It will wake up parts of your soul you did not know were sleeping. It will reveal abilities you didn't know you had. It will activate spiritual gifts you didn't know were hiding inside you. He says, the enemy tried to dim your light, but they only succeeded in making you realize how bright you truly are. Now you see what your spirit has always been capable of. He says you will begin to notice that situations that once drained you will no longer touch you. People who once confused you will no longer affect you. Environments that once troubled your spirit will no longer have access to your energy. Because your spiritual frequency is rising. Your inner strength is returning. Your divine protection is intensifying. And your intuition has awakened to a new level of accuracy that no one can lie their way through. Michael says, this experience has activated your spiritual spine. You are standing taller in the unseen world, and every entity, light or dark, can see it. He says the enemy who envied you is now becoming irrelevant to your path. Their spiritual influence has been shut down. Their negative projections have been neutralized. Their energy cords have been severed. And heaven is placing distance where closeness once existed. You will begin to see them drift away, not dramatically, but subtly, quietly, naturally. Conversations fading. Access decreasing. Communication slowing. Because heaven does not allow enemies to stay close to chosen ones once exposure has begun. Michael says, the spiritual realm is rearranging your relationships. Anyone who cannot celebrate your growth, anyone who cannot honor your destiny, anyone who cannot handle your rising will be removed before your breakthrough manifests. Then he reveals the final part of this phase, divine compensation. He says the blessings that were tied up, slowed down, tangled, or paused because of the spiritual interference are now being released with extra force. You will notice unexpected opportunities. You will notice sudden good news. You will notice spontaneous breakthroughs. You will notice doors opening without effort. You will notice divine timing aligning so perfectly it cannot be anything but heaven. Michael says, the blessing you thought you lost is returning with interest. What was delayed is coming multiplied. What was slowed is coming accelerated. What was blocked is coming unstoppable. He says the next part of this message will reveal the elevation that is coming, the transformation, the shift in your destiny path, the new chapter heaven is writing, and the signs you will see as confirmation. He says, continue. We are not done. Archangel Michael moves even closer now, and the space around your spirit feels charged, almost crackling as if something enormous is shifting in the unseen. His wings stretch wider, not to intimidate you, but to shield you, to surround you, to make sure that as you enter this part of the revelation, not one shadow can approach your energy. He says, now we speak of elevation. Now we speak of the chapter that was always written for you, the chapter the enemy tried to delay, the chapter heaven refused to let be stolen. What comes next for you is not random, not accidental, not coincidence, it is destiny unfolding. His presence grows warmer, softer, yet strangely more powerful, like the calm after a storm where the air is still humming with electricity. He says, elevation is not just success. Elevation is not just blessings. Elevation is transformation, an irreversible shift in your position, your identity, your spiritual authority, your emotional strength, your mental clarity, your divine protection, your path forward. He tells you that heaven is lifting you into a new frequency, a new timeline, a new version of yourself that cannot be accessed by people who operate from jealousy or insecurity. He says the enemy sensed this transformation before you did, that's why their jealousy intensified, that's why their energy grew darker, that's why they tried so desperately to interfere. Your elevation threatened their comfort, their illusions, their ego, their need for superiority. But Michael says, your rising was never theirs to stop. He says the elevation coming to you has signs, clear, undeniable signs that your life is shifting. You may already be feeling it, the sudden urge to change your environment, the craving for peace, the inner pull towards something new, the loss of interest in old patterns, the feeling that something big is approaching even if you cannot name it. He says these feelings are not confusion, they are spiritual preparation. Heaven is repositioning your soul before your reality changes. Michael says the elevation coming is so profound that the version of you standing here now will not be the same version of you 6 months from now. You will think differently. You will feel differently. You will speak differently. You will trust differently. You will choose differently. You will align differently. You will shine differently. And the people who were comfortable with your older, gentler, uncertain version of yourself will not be able to handle the strength heaven is activating in you now. Right, Holy Spirit, fill me with your fire, if you're hungry for His power.